You ever just sit there sometime around 2:13 a.m., not even sure how long you've been sitting there, just blinking, not crying, not thinking, not sleeping, just paused. Like your brain hit the buffer wheel and forgot to come back. And then out of nowhere, this thought shows up, uninvited like some drunk ex at a party you didn't even want to host. I thought I'd be further by now. It doesn't whisper. It slaps, like a brick to the chest. Like your own voice is confronting you for ghosting your potential. You don't say it out loud, because that would make it real, and real is heavy, but you feel it, in your gut, in the silence, in the way your phone screen lights up and you don't even care who it is anymore. You thought life would look different, feel different, be different. You didn't think you'd be in your 20s or 30s or whatever the hell age you are, still negotiating with your alarm clock like it owes you rent. Still chasing fake dopamine hits through notifications and stale snacks. Still pretending I'm fine when really you feel like a PowerPoint presentation running on 2% battery and no one's noticed the screen's flickering. And the thing is, you don't even know what further meant. You just know it's not this. Not the dishes piling up in your sink like you're starring in a sad indie film. Not the texts you haven't replied to because you can't handle being perceived right now. Not the half-filled journals with motivational quotes you don't even believe anymore. You said you'd be thriving, healed, focused, drinking water on purpose, stretching in the morning like someone who knows what self-care means. You said this year would be different, and it was for like 3 days. Then the real you, the tired you, the anxious you, the why am I like this you, came back. And that's the version you always seem to return to, like a glitch in the matrix. You keep trying to upgrade your life while running on an operating system built from burnout, perfectionism, and the fear of disappointing people who don't even think about you anymore. And it's not like you're doing nothing. You've been busy. You've been scrolling, refreshing, comparing, swiping, consuming, numbing, disassociating in high definition. You're exhausted and you didn't even move. You didn't even do anything. But your mind? It ran a full marathon, uphill, barefoot, carrying a backpack full of self-doubt. And somewhere in there, in between the screen time report you ignored and the 37-minute shower you took just to feel something, you realize something terrifying. You've been living on autopilot, going through the motions of a life you don't fully recognize, but you're too afraid to question it because what if the answer is, this is all there is? What if you missed it? What if this is your peak? What if everyone else really is doing better and you're just here buffering? So you try to fix it for 5 minutes. You open a notes app and type out a plan. Wake up early, eat healthy, exercise, read, call mom, be grateful, become a better person. You feel hopeful, like, for a second, maybe this time you'll actually do it. And then the next morning comes. You wake up late, eat cold leftovers, scroll yourself into a void, and ignore every single notification because you can't even face the idea of answering to life. And just like that, the day disappears. And no one sees it. No one notices. Because you're good at faking it. You know how to throw on a half smile and say, yeah, I'm good, just tired. But it's a different kind of tired, isn't it? It's not I need sleep tired. It's I need peace tired. I need something to change before I lose myself completely. Tired. But you won't say that, because that's too raw, too dramatic. So instead, you lay in bed with your phone too close to your face, watching videos about people healing their inner child, while you silently try to remember the last time you felt joy without needing Wi-Fi. And here's the part no one tells you. You're not the only one. There are thousands, millions of people doing the exact same thing right now, sitting in their dark rooms, feeling like they failed at life because they didn't hit some imaginary milestone made up by people who never had to process this much trauma while paying $9 for oat milk. And if you're still watching, still here, it means some part of you still wants to care, still wants to believe there's more than this endless loop, that maybe you haven't wasted it all, that maybe there's still time to become who you were supposed to be, that maybe, just maybe, further isn't a destination. It's a decision, and you get to make it. Even at 2:13 a.m., even when you're at your worst, even when you feel like nothing you do matters. Because this right here, this moment, this pause, it matters. It's the moment you stopped running, stopped faking, stopped pretending everything's fine when your soul's been whispering, help me, in a language only you can hear. And for once, you're listening. Chapter 2. The modern mind trap. Burnout in disguise. Let's get something straight right now. You are not lazy. You're not unmotivated or just bad at time management or not living up to your potential because you suck. That's not it. It never was. You're just tired in a way that 8 hours of sleep doesn't fix. You're not procrastinating because you're careless. You're procrastinating because you're paralyzed. Your brain is not broken. Your soul is just running on fumes. Because here's the modern trap no one talks about. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like scrolling through your phone for 4 hours while calling it a break. Sometimes it looks like doing the bare minimum at work because your heart checked out 3 months ago, but your rent didn't. Sometimes it looks like emotional flatlining, like you're watching your own life through a screen, even when the phone is off. The world doesn't clap for people like you. You don't get awards for enduring, for dragging yourself out of bed when your will to exist is hanging on by a thread. You don't get applause for showing up to life with a cracked heart and a fake smile and just pushing through. Because that's the part they never tell you. That most of what we call laziness is actually unprocessed fatigue, mental, emotional, existential exhaustion, from carrying things you never got to set down, from surviving things you didn't have time to name, from always being in this state of almost okay. It's this loop we're all trapped in. Overwork, overthink, overstimulate, then crash. Feel guilty about crashing, then repeat. You keep saying you'll rest when things calm down, but the truth is, things never do. You think you'll finally relax once the inbox is empty, the house is clean, the money's right, the weight is gone, the past is healed. But you know what that is? A moving finish line. And that's how burnout keeps you running long after you should have stopped. But you keep running because you think stopping means failure, and let me guess, you gaslight yourself too. You say stuff like, other people have it worse, or I should be grateful, or I'm just being dramatic. Nah, you're not being dramatic. You're being honest. You're in a system designed to extract your energy until there's nothing left to give. And then it tells you to smile for a LinkedIn post. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're awake. You're just living in a world where numbness is normal and exhaustion is expected. We don't even call it burnout anymore. We call it a grind. We made it aesthetic, romanticize the breakdown, put it on hoodies. No days off, rise and grind, sleep is for the weak. Who came up with this crap? Meanwhile, your body is quietly panicking. Your nervous system is fried, your attention span is gone, your brain's trying to solve problems it doesn't have energy to even look at. You're not lazy, you're just out of emotional currency. And the worst part? We shame ourselves for it, we internalize it. We start thinking maybe we really are the problem. Maybe I am just undisciplined. Maybe I am just lazy. No, you're not. You're wounded. You've been holding your breath emotionally for years and wondering why you're lightheaded all the time. You've been carrying invisible loads, trauma, pressure, perfectionism, generational patterns, unrealistic expectations, all while trying to look chill in public. And let's talk about overthinking, because that's your coping mechanism, isn't it? You call it being self-aware, but it's really just mental gymnastics. Overthinking is your brain's way of trying to control pain before it happens. If you analyze every scenario, maybe you'll finally avoid getting hurt. But guess what? You still get hurt. Only now you also get exhausted. And doom scrolling? That's not a habit. That's a numbing strategy. That's your brain begging for distraction because stillness feels dangerous. Because if you stop scrolling long enough, the thoughts start. And you're scared of those thoughts. The what's wrong with me thoughts. The what if this is all there is thoughts. So you stay moving, clicking, consuming. Anything to avoid the confrontation with your own unmet needs. It's okay. It makes sense. You were never taught how to rest. You were taught how to perform, how to be productive, efficient, useful. But no one taught you how to be human. So let me say this clearly. So the part of you that's still in survival mode can hear it. Rest is not a reward. Healing is not a luxury. Slowing down is not weakness. You are not a robot. You are not a machine. You are not a to-do list with legs. You are a living, breathing, feeling human being who's been operating on emergency mode for way too long. And now you're here, watching this, listening to some stranger on a screen tell you what your own body's been trying to say for years. You don't have to earn your right to exhale. You're allowed to stop, not quit, not give up, just stop. Pause. Take your hands off the wheel and breathe. Not everything is a crisis. Not everything is a race. Not everything needs to be solved today. You don't need a plan right now. You need a break. You need to remember what it feels like to just exist without performance, to be enough even when you're not producing anything. So before we go any further in this video, before we dive into more soul work and hard truths, I want you to do something simple. Right now, unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, take a breath, just one, and then let it go. That wasn't nothing. That was everything. That was the beginning. Because when you learn to rest without guilt, that's when you start to heal. Chapter 3. No one has it together. The Great Pretending. Let me tell you something that should have been taught in school, printed on billboards, tattooed on our eyelids if necessary. No one has it together. No one. Not her, not him, not them. Not the girl with the color-coded Notion setup and a boyfriend who reads. Not the dude with the sleeve tattoos and consistent gym habits and mysterious jawline confidence. Not the high-functioning anxious achiever who makes reels about mental health while suppressing their own breakdowns in between brand deals. They're all improvising, every single one of them. Some people are just better at faking it, better at hiding the mess behind clean lighting and good angles, better at curating a life that looks good from a distance. But get up close, you'll see the cracks, the overthinking, the panic under the productivity, the nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if they're wasting their potential too. And yet, you compare yourself to them anyway. Even though you know deep down it's not real. Even though your logic says, this is a highlight reel, your brain whispers, yeah, but they're still doing better than me. And just like that, you start shrinking. You see their wedding, their house, their glowing skin, their six-figure success story, and you think, I'm failing. But let's break that down for a second. You're comparing your real life, your messy, intimate, insecure, vulnerable, human life, to a filtered, edited, public performance. You're comparing your worst days to someone's best angles. You're comparing your healing journey to their fake milestone update. And worst of all, you're letting it mean something about your worth. And that's the part that hurts the most, right? Not just that other people seem ahead, but that it feels personal. Like your stuckness is a character flaw, like your burnout is laziness. Like your slow healing means you're broken in a way that other people aren't. But let me say this loud enough to break through that wall of shame you've built up inside you. They don't have it figured out either. No one does. They're just performing more convincingly than you, that's all. I know people who look unstoppable on the outside, posting wins, sharing quotes, crushing goals. But behind the scenes, they're not sleeping. They're crying in the car between meetings. They're numbing with caffeine and TikToks and casual hookups and busyness. Just because someone's moving fast doesn't mean they're moving well. Just because someone's smiling doesn't mean they're okay. But this is what we do. We assume. We assume confidence means security. We assume routine means emotional stability. We assume success means peace. But there are people making six figures who would trade everything to feel something real again. There are people with huge followings who haven't had an honest conversation in months. And here's the kicker. We don't just pretend in public. We pretend with ourselves. We put on a show for our own reflection. I'm fine. It's not that bad. Other people have it worse. We numb. We deflect. We scroll. We swallow emotions we don't have the tools to process. And somewhere in all of that pretending, we lose track of what's real. So let's just stop for a second. Let's get honest. You don't need to be okay. You don't need to be crushing it. You don't need to pretend you've figured out your 5-year plan when you're still trying to figure out what to eat for dinner without triggering an existential crisis. You're allowed to be a mess. You're allowed to not know. You're allowed to still be learning how to be human in a world that rewards perfection and punishes honesty. And if you've been waiting for someone to say it's okay to take the mask off, to admit that you're struggling, lost, confused, not where you wanted to be, this is it. This is your permission slip. Because the truth is, the second you stop pretending is the second you start healing. The second you stop comparing your journey to someone else's facade, you start reclaiming your own pace. And your pace is sacred. It doesn't matter if it's slow. It doesn't matter if it looks weird. It doesn't matter if people don't get it. This is your path, your chaos, your breakthrough, your becoming. The world doesn't need another perfect persona. The world needs you, raw, real, honest, vulnerable, healing out loud, messy and still showing up. The you who cries sometimes for no reason. The you who doesn't have it together but still tries anyway. The you who's learning to stop measuring your worth in achievements and start recognizing your value in your willingness to keep going. So next time you look at someone and think, they've figured it out, just remind yourself, they're probably looking at someone else thinking the same thing. Because that's the great pretending. Everyone's faking it. Everyone's afraid they're the only broken one. Everyone thinks everyone else is more okay than they are. But maybe okay was never the goal. Maybe real was. And real? Real is messy. Real is emotional. Real is vulnerable. Real is alive. And you? You're still here. Still breathing, still fighting through the fog, still trying, and that makes you more together than you think. Chapter 4. Dormant, Not Broken. The Plant Story. Okay, so let's step out of the chaos for a minute. Let's zoom out. Drop the memes, the shame, the self-diagnosing. I want to tell you a story. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, but it hit me in the chest the first time I heard it. There's this guy. Let's call him Derek. Don't know why, it just feels like a Derek story. Derek has this plant. He bought it with good intentions. Maybe a Pinterest phase, maybe a breakup impulse buy, who knows? For a while, he took care of it. Watered it, gave it sun. Said things like, I'm a plant dad now, as if that would manifest maturity. But life got busy. Deadlines, distractions, days blending together, and the plant got neglected. Slowly, quietly, the leaves curled, the green faded, the dirt dried out. Eventually, it just sat there, sad, crinkled, colorless, looking like a metaphor for every goal Derek abandoned. One day he's cleaning, not because he's motivated, just because procrastination makes you suddenly want to organize Tupperware. And he goes to toss the plant. Done. Over it. Dead. But something stops him. Maybe guilt. Maybe some weird loyalty to this dying thing. So instead of trashing it, he moves it. Not to save it, just out of the way, somewhere near the window. He forgets about it again. But this time, it gets some light. And maybe once, maybe twice, he remembers to pour a little water in. Not even with care, just a lazy splash from the glass he was drinking. A few days pass, then a week. And one day, Derek sees something, tiny. Barely there, but real. A leaf. A single green leaf. Fresh, new, alive, not dead, not broken, just dormant. That plant wasn't gone. It was waiting. For warmth, for light, for care, for a better environment, for any damn sign that it was safe to try again. And when it got the tiniest hint of life, it responded. Now listen to me. Look me in the eyes through this screen. You are not dead. You are not broken. You are not lazy or hopeless or defective. You are dormant. You have been in survival mode for so long that your body doesn't know what safety feels like. You've been through disappointments, letdowns, heartbreaks, rejections, burnout, trauma, and somewhere along the way, you stopped expecting good things, so you shut down. And it didn't happen overnight. Just like the plant, it happened slowly. You stopped believing in your dreams. You stopped trusting your gut. You stopped showing up for yourself. Not because you're weak, but because your soul said, I can't keep blooming in these conditions. But what if it wasn't failure? What if it was self-preservation? What if the version of you that you keep mourning, the bright-eyed, motivated, fearless one, didn't die? They just went quiet, waiting for safer conditions? What if your numbness isn't a defect, it's a defense? What if your procrastination isn't laziness? It's grief with no name? What if your giving up isn't failure? It's your body whispering, I need rest before I can rebuild. You are not behind, you are paused. There is still life in you, still hope, still growth, waiting to happen. Not in some distant, perfect future version of you, but in this exact moment. You don't need a full rebrand. You don't need a new 5-year plan. You need sunlight, a drop of water, a better window, and time. And I promise you, when you start giving yourself those things, even just a little, the same thing will happen to you that happened to Derek's plant. One day when you least expect it, something inside you will sprout again. A new thought, a new idea, a flicker of energy, a moment of joy that doesn't need permission. It won't be dramatic. It won't be Instagram worthy. It might not even be visible to anyone but you. But you'll feel it. That tiny, stubborn little leaf inside you whispering, I'm still here. And that's all it takes. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be healed. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to believe that you're worth watering again. Even if it's just a drop, even if it's just one breath at a time, the world will try to convince you that you're useless if you're not producing, that your worth is based on how hard you grind, that if you stop, you'll fall behind. But the truth is, some of the most powerful transformations happen in stillness, in silence, in dormancy. So if all you've done this week is survive, if you've eaten a little, texted one person back, brushed your teeth once, stood in the sun for 2 minutes, you are not failing. You are tending to something fragile and important. You are laying the foundation for the return of your aliveness. And it will return. You don't need to bloom today. You just need to believe that the seed is still in you, and it hasn't given up. So don't you dare give up on it either. Chapter 5. Tiny Rebellions. The way out starts small. You know what no one ever tells you? The big life change you keep waiting for. The glow up, the breakthrough, the finally getting your act together moment. It doesn't start with some movie montage or magical Monday. It starts with something stupidly small. Something so tiny it feels like it doesn't even count. Like brushing your teeth after 3 days of laying in bed. Like drinking a glass of water even though your body feels like a landfill of soda, anxiety, and self-loathing. Like opening the blinds. Like replying to one text. Not all of them, just one. And I get it. You want the whole plan. You want to fix everything at once. You want to become that perfectly optimized version of yourself overnight. But that's the trap. That's how you stay stuck. Waiting to be ready. Waiting to feel like it. Waiting until your mood matches the size of the goals you've been carrying around like emotional luggage. But here's the truth. You don't wait your way into healing. You build your way into it, one tiny defiant act at a time. One rebellion against the voice in your head that says, why bother? You'll just mess it up anyway. That voice isn't a prophet. It's a broken record, and every small thing you do in spite of it, every basic, unimpressive, quiet little decision you make to care for yourself anyway, is you skipping the track. You start by standing up. You start by washing a dish. You start by unfollowing someone who makes you feel like crap for not living a fake curated life. You start by turning your phone off for 15 minutes and sitting in silence, even though it's uncomfortable as hell. You start by letting yourself cry instead of pushing it down like it's an unpaid bill you're too scared to open. You start by doing one thing that nudges you 5% toward aliveness, and you let that be enough. Because it is enough. Everyone wants the big moment, the TED Talk epiphany, the grand transformation, the day where you wake up suddenly motivated. But what actually changes your life? It's the stuff no one claps for. It's getting up and taking a walk, even though your mind is screaming, what's the point? It's making your bed like it's a sacred act of defiance. It's brushing your hair, doing the dishes, taking a real breath. Not for your productivity, not for your Instagram story, but because you are a living thing that deserves to be cared for by you. You want to break the cycle? Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait to be ready. Take one step, one rebellious, tiny, quiet step that says, I might not believe in myself yet, but I'm showing up anyway. That's how it starts. Not with motivation, not with inspiration, with movement, with motion, with momentum built from micro moments. You don't need to be at 100%. You just need to be at 1% with intention. You think your life changes when you become a new person, but no. It changes when you stop giving up on the person you already are. Every small choice you make in the direction of care, every time you get up when it's easier to stay down, is you laying a new brick, a foundation, a path. Not to perfection, but to possibility. And yeah, it'll feel pointless sometimes. It'll feel slow. It'll feel like nothing's happening. But let me tell you something. Nothing is louder to your future than your tiny actions right now. Even if nobody sees them, even if nobody claps, even if you forget to do them tomorrow and have to start again, that's okay. Starting again isn't weakness, it's a skill, a sacred one. So if all you can do today is drink some water and breathe for 5 seconds and say, I'm trying, that counts. That's the work. That's the rebellion. That's how you begin again. Chapter 6. The Inner Hero. No one's coming but you are. Let me hit you with something that might sting a little, but if you really let it in, it will change your life. No one is coming to save you. There's no magical mentor showing up at the perfect moment. No emotionally evolved partner who will love you so perfectly it heals your inner child. No boss who's going to notice your burnout and say, hey, why don't you take a month off and find yourself? There's no permission slip, no life coach in a hoodie knocking on your door like, you ready to live your potential now? There's just you, but that's not the scary part. That's the good part. Because if no one is coming to save you, that means you get to stop waiting. Stop waiting for someone else to make it okay. Stop waiting for the universe to open up a perfect little portal labeled, now you're allowed to try. Stop waiting for the next Monday, the next apology, the next version of you that finally deserves good things. You don't have to wait anymore. You get to be the one, the rescuer, the witness, the warrior, the soft, messy, wildly powerful force in your own damn story. Not because you always feel strong, but because you show up even when you don't. That's what a hero actually is. Not someone who's fearless, but someone who walks back into the fire of their own life on purpose, with shaky hands, with bad sleep, with regrets and old wounds, and a voice in their head still whispering, you're not ready. But they go anyway. That's you. That's been you this whole time. You just didn't realize it. You thought because you didn't have it all figured out yet, it meant you were behind. You thought because you still had anxiety, still messed up sometimes, still couldn't get your motivation to behave, it meant you weren't qualified to be your own hero. But here's the truth. You've already saved yourself more times than you've given yourself credit for. Every time you didn't quit on a day that crushed you. Every time you got back up after being ignored, overlooked, misunderstood, underestimated. Every time you cried silently and still made it to work. Every time you kept going, even when no one saw you. Especially when no one saw you. That's heroic. Not dramatic, not performative, not Instagram-worthy, but real. You've been your own lifeline more than you know. And yeah, sometimes you dropped the rope. Sometimes you didn't answer your own call. Sometimes you self-destructed a little because pain was familiar and healing felt too big to believe in. That's okay. You don't need a perfect track record to be the one who turns it around. You just need to stop handing your story over to people who don't even know how to hold it. You keep thinking someone out there will finally say the right thing. Finally show up. Finally give you a reason to believe in yourself. But you don't need someone to believe in you to start believing in you. You need to decide that you are worth fighting for, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps, even when the progress is invisible. That's the moment things change. Not when everything is fixed, but when you realize you're done waiting for the fix to come from anywhere but you. And hear me on this. This doesn't mean doing it alone. It means starting with yourself. It means being the one who doesn't abandon you when things get hard. It means being on your own side, especially on the days when your brain tries to convince you that you're the problem. You're not the problem. You're the one who's been carrying the weight of your healing without instructions, without support, without pause, and still trying to move forward. That's not failure, that's strength. And it's yours. It always has been. So maybe today isn't about finding a new plan. Maybe it's not about being more productive or positive or perfect. Maybe today is just about remembering who the hell you are. Not the filtered version, not the past you full of potential, not the fantasy you think everyone would finally respect. The real you, the one who has survived every bad day, the one who keeps waking up even when they didn't want to, the one who's still here, still trying, still watching this video because some part of them, some small, brave, quiet part, is not done yet. That part is your hero, and it's already inside you. So no one's coming to save you. But someone already has. You're here, you're coming for yourself now, and that changes everything. Chapter 7, The Real Beginning. You're not late, you're ready. You keep thinking you're behind, that you missed your moment, that the train left and you're standing on the platform holding a half-packed bag of almost and should-haves. You scroll through people's timelines like they're proof you've already failed, like life is some race and you're in last place. Like if you don't fix everything soon, you'll stay stuck forever. But what if you're not late? What if you're just early in a story that hasn't revealed why it matters yet? What if all the detours, the breakdowns, the silent nights, the invisible battles, what if they weren't wrong turns? What if they were the foundation? You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You don't need closure from your past to deserve a future. You don't need a 5-year plan and glowing skin and inner peace and a skincare routine that works. You just need to decide that this moment, this very breath you're taking right now, is enough to start again. Not start perfect, start honest, start messy. Start with what you've got. Start without answers. Start in the middle of your healing, not after it. Start as you are, not once you're better. Because the fantasy version of you keep waiting for, the one who's organized and healed and finally consistent, that person isn't waiting at some finish line. They're built in these exact moments. The boring, unsexy, quiet choices no one sees. The moments where you choose not to give up on yourself, even if you don't know what the hell you're doing. That's where it happens. That's where everything happens. In the space between I'm not ready and I'm showing up anyway. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be here, now. Not last year, not next month, not after you get your confidence back or your depression lifts or your life gets less messy. Right, freaking now. You think this is rock bottom? Maybe it is. But maybe this is also the foundation. Maybe this is where you stop shrinking and start returning to yourself. Not a new version, not some aesthetic reinvention, just you. The you who was buried under guilt and shame and self-comparison and burnout and silence. The you who's still there, still waiting to be believed in. Because here's the twist. The version of you you've been chasing, they're not ahead of you. They're not miles away. They're not out there in the future waiting for you to catch up. They're right here, inside you, underneath the doubt, underneath the tiredness, underneath the pain. The dream you still have, the one you barely let yourself feel anymore, that's not fantasy, that's memory. Your soul remembers who you were before you got scared, and now you get to come back to it. Not all at once, not in some dramatic rebirth, but slowly, gently. With shaky hands and stubborn hope, you get to choose to begin. Not a new chapter, a new book, written by the version of you that refuses to stay quiet one more day. Because the truth is, your story doesn't start when things get better. It starts the moment you believe it still can, right here, right now. This is your beginning. You're not late. You're ready.